watching a Youth TV, empowering you.
And I was unanimously elected, and I was like, what am I expected to do? And the people said, you seem to be doing it already. So I just said, fine, there I am. And fast forward, that's almost 40 years ago. So you can see how far we've come from. Of course, there are a number of other experiences that I have acquired over the years, including meetings like this one, where I'm also learning something new. And that accumulates to an area of experience. And therefore, when I was told that you have a leadership symposium, and when I came and Amos quickly told me that you are mainly looking at areas of ethical leadership, of conflict management, of peaceful resolution of issues, I was saying, okay, that sounds like a fairly common script and possibly something that this country needs a lot more. And therefore, having been in training institutions, and I'll talk from that point of view, really our education system in this country, because you are all here because you have been in school. And I don't have to ask that question because here the language of instruction we pick as English means that you picked it from somewhere in school. And therefore, our education system is duty-bound to develop citizens who are interested in and capable of creating positive change and improving communities. Positive change, creating positive change should be one cardinal principle that should have taken you to school, consciously or subconsciously. That you go to school to become a better person than you were before you went to school. And therefore, the fact that you have gone to school alone makes you an asset. Should get you out of the grumbling pack of those who appear to be hopeless. You are talking about leadership, and I usually find defining leadership very difficult because in whichever position we are, none of us will ever accept that we are a bad leader. It cannot be a comment from others who are not maybe happy with you, and maybe for their own interests, not necessarily because you are a bad leader. So when we are discussing leadership, therefore, it is such a broad area that we really have to find out where do I fall. But with me, I know leadership really is about taking risks. You may not want to agree with me, but leadership is a risk in itself. Because leadership means that you are actually trying to change something. Leadership entails that you're actually trying to question the status quo. Leadership is about motivating others to do something better. And therefore, when people talk of, I want to become a leader, I usually ask them, are you willing to take the risk? Because when you choose that path, it doesn't become business as usual. I have been in management, and I will tell you, in management, I can afford to be lazy. Because management is about getting people to follow the rules to reduce risk, and deliver predictable outcomes. That's about management. In management, I do planning, I organize, I lead, I control. In management, I seek compliance to rules. That is it. So now when you are leaders, whether you aspire to be leaders, then you must know what is my role in this area. You can imagine, how many of you have studied education as a discipline or as teachers? Now, when you are posted in a school, they will give you a syllabus for the subject. That syllabus will have been approved from elsewhere. Maybe the National Curriculum Development Center, maybe the Ministry of Education adopted it, maybe your UNEB is examining it, and for you have been given this syllabus. Your job is to go to class and teach. So along the way, if you don't find some topics relevant, you are not at liberty to change them. You are not at liberty to remove them, because you are already having expected outputs. Your outputs are predictable. I am following a certain syllabus. We are now in the budget cycle where ministries, departments, and agencies are presenting their budget estimates, and Parliament is discussing the estimates. They are now discussing budget ceilings. So what does that mean? That if you're a manager, you already have a budget ceiling, you have a work plan, you have expected predictable outputs. Because the outputs of managers are predictable, their job is simple. For as long as this financial year remains as is, my job is to maintain the status quo. And as long as you maintain the status quo, then you're a good manager. You're a good boy. Now, leaders thrive to break the norm. Leaders thrive to challenge the status quo. Why are we doing this all the time? Why do we do it this way? When can we do it better? Why can't we change it? Now, therefore, when you talk about peaceful coexistence, peaceful management and resolution of conflicts, you must know what informs certain positions. Because leaders are visionaries. Leaders are visionaries. They look ahead. They want fresh ideas. They want innovation. They want to look at how do we do this better. Managers are implementers. Mine is you have given me what to prepare. You have given me a menu. At the end of the day, I prepare the meal according to a menu. The implementers. Leaders are visionaries. What else do I add in this cuisine? And therefore, that is why when you are looking at organizational management, because you are talking about ethical leadership, it means that you must be somebody who is very intentional in getting the right knowledge, very intentional in giving the right guidance, very intentional in understanding the ecosystem, the environment in which you operate. Among your expectations, somebody was indicating that you would wish to understand something about character development, character and leadership. That's where most of us fail, because it is a smorgasbord of sorts. Really, character in leadership is really a combination of virtues. Virtues mean that you really have to show some level of high moral standard. As a leader, people must look up to you for something. So you must at least have some standard as a leader. You must have some values that some people can really see in you. And these are basically principles. These are basically standards of behavior, or one's judgment of what is important in life. Your judgment of what is important in life will set you apart from others. That's why some people will say, I think she gets her priorities right. He gets his priorities right. That element of judgment. Character in leadership means that you have traits that enable individuals to lead other people and organizations. Individuals will never be the same. As we sit here or stand here in this audience now, we all have our individual personalities, we all have our individual characteristics. That's why managers are in place. That's why rules and regulations are in place. So character is defined by the principles or standards of behavior and one's judgment of what is important in life. That is how you can summarize character. How do you set your priorities, or are you always blowing by the direction of the wind? So really, ethical leadership entails a level of integrity. It involves a level of integrity. It involves sticking to your word. When you agree, it involves collective responsibility. It involves, to a large extent, practicing what you preach. It involves owning up to one's mistakes. If you are a leader who is always thinking that you are not succeeding because everybody you work with is not doing the right thing apart from you, then yes, you are possibly playing more politics than actually leadership. When you are a leader, your job can't be to blame your team. It means that you are not part of that team. You don't make excuses, and you don't hide mistakes. So that is where taking up a leadership role becomes a big risk. It's a big challenge, it's a big task, being a role model. Being a role model is not like being on the catwalk. Being a role model is a lot of sacrifice. So, as leaders in society, our expectations, if you are going to bring out the social transformation that you would want to see in society, it means you have to be conscious of self. And I'm glad Amos mentioned this as possibly one of the areas that you'll be discussing in the course of the 2 days. It involves commitment. I'm glad you are talking of networking. It involves collaboration. It requires common purpose. At the time when you expressed your interest in coming to this symposium, itself underlines a common purpose. It entails controversy with civility. I always like people who disagree, because then when you disagree in a civil manner, you take your mind to think, you become more innovative, you will now start looking at how do we do things better in a different way. And that is where people who do conflict resolution come in handy. Conflict really is because we are not on the same footing, on the same point. The question is, how do we amicably get the best out of it? So as leaders, you must give clear direction of where you want the people to go. Leaders must be knowledgeable. No guesswork, no rumors, no gossip. Leaders must be knowledgeable. You must be able to be up to date with what is transpiring virtually at any given time. You can only be a leader if you are a motivation to others, not a disgrace. And you can only be a leader in an organization if you are leading them to better performance and better progress. Now, in conclusion, therefore, as you get into the main business of your leadership symposium, in conclusion, leadership without virtue is no leadership. Leadership without virtue is no leadership. It's all about directing, merely directing or managing. Many of us want to become managers, but that is not what's going to get your organization forward. You must combine management with leadership. To lead effectively and sustainably, it must flow from within, from those character strengths that you have. And those character strengths are what we call virtues. I'm sure somebody will discuss virtues with you along the way. Leadership needs courage. Leadership needs courage. Leadership needs self-control. Do you have some good leaders within here? Okay, I see one or two hands. You know, being a good leader is one of the biggest risks that you can take when you are in university. Because then you have promised your constituents that you are going to do something. I will push for this, I will push for this. You will come to the stand of management, and management says, this young man or this young woman is pushing too much. You go back, the people say you are not pushing enough. So you find yourself caught between the wall and the hard place. I mean, that is the simplest example of leadership risks that I'm giving at the level of a student. Yes, you go to the headmaster's office and say, this is what the students are agitating for, and the headmaster is confusing you and says, now you go back and then you say, then they say, you didn't tell him. Maybe he gave you a cup of tea, and you have come back and you are happy. So those are some of the dynamics that you go through in leadership. But amongst all, to be a good leader, there must be some level of magnanimity, actually a very high level of magnanimity. Magnanimity is about forgiveness. At any one moment, like I said, in leadership, you don't always agree on the same thing at the same time. Somebody was talking about an organization, wondering how you can manage people. Managing people is not easy. Sometimes you find it even difficult to manage yourself. So how do you manage others? Managing people is not easy. And that is why a good leader must have that forgiving heart. Otherwise, you'll break down. Otherwise, you'll dismantle the organization. Magnanimity is about forgiveness. Is about forgetting, is about moving forward. And most important in a humility, be humble but firm to the required. With those very many remarks, I want to wish you a very fruitful 2-day deliberation. And if my role was to give opening remarks, I believe I conclude by also declaring the symposium open. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Emmanuel. Another round of applause for Dr. Emmanuel. In a way, I feel like in just the opening remarks, Doctor has covered everything. We could pack up and just conclude. But thank you so much, Doctor. I think in all the things that have been shared, there have been quite a number. And as I was listening, I was also taking notes. And learning does not end. And so even as we have come here to be able to share, at the same time we are also here to learn. So I was here seeing a lot of things that really stand out. And I think for me one of those is where he talked about managers and leaders and how we should be willing to take the risk and leap over, and not just manage things as they are. If we step up to going to leadership, we should be ready to take as many risks as we can. And I think the other one I liked was the one that was ending, for leaders to be extremely in a position to be able to hear every side, be forgiving, be generous, so that because you have to work with other people, you have to understand that as a leader, not everything will go in the direction that you want it to go. Sometimes you're going to get some pushback, but how you handle that pushback is very, very key. So thank you so much, Dr. Emmanuel. We're going to go into our next segment, and the next segment is going to be about talking about ethical leadership. And we have a panel that is going to join me here at the front, and we're going to have a small discussion. My panelists will come and join us. We'll invite them, and then we shall be able to have a chat, and we shall have that chat also with you, the people in the audience, so that we get to hear about this even more. Yes, so I am going to invite some brilliant people who are going to share with us on ethical leadership. And because we started late, we are going to go into this, then we shall break just after the ethical leadership. So I am going to invite Gerald, yeah, Ahimsiwe to join me. I'm going to invite Annette Birungi to also join me, and I'm going to invite Joanna Atkunda to also join me here at the front. And while they are here, they will be introducing themselves, what they do, and yes, you'll get to know a little bit about them and also the fellowship they attended. Yes, so. Yes, Gerald.
Yeah, so thank you, Amos, for the opportunity. And my fellows, I'm excited to be with you here today. The August House, I'm Gerald Ahimbisiwe, and I lead a team at the Ability Youth Initiative Uganda, or TAINU, and we provide mentorship to youth. Our role is very simple, to ensure that young people are skilled and productive. I am a cohort 39 from the Yali Regional Leadership Center, Nairobi, that happened between the COVID time. At the same time, I went to school, like some of you are, and graduated from Chambogo University. So I think I'll interact with you as we move further. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerald. Annette.
I'm so honored to be here this morning, and you are most welcome, all of you. And I'm so grateful. Amos, thank you so much for organizing this. And I'm Annette Mbirungi, and I am Young Leaders Initiative Regional Leadership Center East Africa Alumni, cohort 18. And I really love young people. I really want to see young people be themselves. And I lead a small team at Marisha Dada, Uganda. And I'm also a beekeeper. I produce honey. Yes, and yeah, I'm a business person. I'll be happy to interact with most of you as we go on today and tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Annette. And Joanna?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joanna Atkunda, and I was excited to be back home. I am an alumna of Bar University. We're the pioneers of Bachelors of Science in Gender and Women Health. That was 2013, 2016. Yes, so I am excited to be back, but also disappointed that not many of the university students are here, and yet, yeah, they should be part of such organizations. I am a Yali alumna, both Young African Leaders Initiative Nairobi, the Regional Leadership Center. So when you hear people referring to Yali RLC, that is a Yali Regional Leadership Center, but also I'm a Mandela Washington Fellow, 2021, together with Amos, who are the ones that had the training virtually, but also traveled for the fellowship. I am the founder Uplift Slum Africa. We work with young people in slum dwelling areas on issues of sexual reproductive health rights, education, and quality and leadership. Yes, I also work with Public Health Ambassadors Uganda as a project officer. Yeah, so that is a little about myself, and I hope that as we go on, we will learn more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joan. I don't have such a long CV, but I will try. But don't laugh, eh? Yes. My name is Tushabe Ronald. Just like Joan, I am also at home. I think we were at the university almost at the same time, but doing different courses. I did Bachelor of Computer Engineering, and yeah, I work here as well. Some of you might be surprised there. So you used to see me in AR's department, but now I do most of the work in public relations. I work with Empower Youth in Technology. Most of you know AIT TV, and it is surprising, for the first time I'm also appearing on AIT TV. So these guys, these guys you're seeing here have been telling me that I don't deserve, and I think finally I deserve to be on TV. So I work with AIT, and I also work with AIT TV. So AIT TV is a child of AIT. AIT is Empower Youth in Technology. So just like Joan, I am also a Mandela Washington Fellow. Too bad for them, they didn't go to the US, me I did. But no, during the fellowship, then later on they went. So they are the online group, but for me I went there physically, so, but don't worry. And also I thank a fellow, the Young African Leaders Initiative Fellow, so which is I think same as Mandela Washington Fellowship, but the composition and the structure is a bit different. So that's really about me. So small, but I have tried. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gerald. I'm sorry, Ronald. And these four powerhouses here from leadership will be sharing about ethical leadership from their understanding of what it means to them. And in the next few minutes, that's what we're going to be discussing. So I'll start with Ronald and say to him, Ronald, could you just, how do you define ethical leadership, and why is it important for young people or for Uganda?
So thank you so much, Amos. First of all, to start with, as young people, where do we practice leadership? First of all, we are business leaders. I think some of you are guild leaders here. Maybe you are community leaders. Like these guys lead organizations. So we practice leadership in so many areas. And today there is a new concept that has come in, and we call it futuristic or modern leadership. Or nowadays, people like Gerard define it as maybe digital leadership and stuff like that. And when you are a leader, you are responsible to other people. You are supposed to be inspiring. You have people following you. You have people who look up to you. Imagine you are leading an organization and you have a young person who has just joined you and you are leading them. All that requires ethical leadership. The modern leadership where you are inspiring people, where you expect people to follow you, then you really need to practice ethical leadership. And I would define ethical leadership in my opinion, and I want to use the word values or morals. leadership that is based on moral principles, value-based principles. If we hear, for example, Gerard or Joan, what do we know about them? What do they practice? How ethically or how is their moral connected to the things they do? For example, most of us normally want to preach what we can't do. Okay? Do this, but then in your practice you don't. Then for me, I don't define that as the ethical way of leading people, where you want them to do what you're telling me, but you can't practice. So I want to define the ethical leadership as moral or values-based leadership. And you go to organization and you see these are our values. We believe in this, integrity, what. All those such kind of arrangement in organizations, or you as a person with your values, the morals you exhibit, all those combined can well be taken as ethical leadership. Yeah.
Thank you, Ronald. And you've touched something that is important. You've mentioned that sometimes leaders like to preach what they cannot practice. And now I'd like to go to Joanna and put the question of, can you share a personal experience where you had to make a tough ethical decision as a leader? And how did you handle it? The reason I ask this is because it is very easy to sugarcoat the whole idea about having ethics. But what happens in a situation where it is do or die? I'll give an example. I was recently at an event, at a friend's function, and as we were having some drinks and talking, one of the friends put to us a question and said, Amos, what is your price? Like, at what amount of money or what thing would they have to give you in exchange for your values? And so, have you ever been at that crossroad? And how did you deal with it?
Thank you so very much, Amos. So, before we even get to the tough decisions that we have to make, first of all, what informs the decision? And these are some of the daily things that we do. If leadership is influence, you can influence positively or negatively as a leader. So the small things that we do as we grow up, as we shape who we want to be, inform what exactly becomes the bigger thing that people can look at you and say, this person is actually has some level of integrity, has some level of decency in how they do their things. So it builds up from small things. And I keep telling people that when I was in high school, I was a very stubborn girl. But there are things I told myself, they would never embarrass me. Like, I can't afford to find myself in a place where I am being embarrassed because of particular things. And this for me was, of course, I mean high school being high school, you will probably make noise, they'll take you to the staff room. But for me, when it came to food and boys, I said those two things, I cannot be caught in any kind of scandal that has those two things. And then the other thing is, how authentic are you as a person? Are you someone that is going to forge life that is going to do anything in forging life at the expense of your name or integrity or the things that people should know about you? So the small things and they were not like subconsciously made decisions, but somehow just out of small things that I would see, and they informed the kind of person that I have become over time. And that came also to university level. that I was not the girl that you will find in any scandal concerning boys at campus. Never. Or even food. And because I needed to be involved in better things and be known for different things, when I joined campus, I said, this is my time to be the person that I need to be. That's why I was shocked that we're just having a few people here, because for me, I didn't know Ronald when I was here at MUST, but I think my friends, those who I had in my gender class, were about 4 of us, and we joined every association that had anything to do with leadership here at MUST, apart from cultural institution, cultural groups, Nkobazambogo, Banyankole something, or Banyachitara, those ones we didn't join, not out of bad or a negative thing, but we were just knowledge hungry. Knowledge hungry. And so and for all those associations, we took up leadership roles. And at a time when I literally took up leadership positions, that was of course, outside campus. And I went to the yearly regional leadership I did before graduation. So when I came back and took up a leadership role from my mentor then, as a creative manager in his business, and then I meet another young person who had started an organization that I happen to co-found as well. That's League of Young Professionals Uganda. And it was like at the beginning stage. So I became the administrator, and we didn't have offices, so literally I carried the office with me everywhere I went as an administrator and co-founder. Everyone who needed to know anything about LYP had to call Joanna. Or if you can't find Philip, then you have to find Joanna. So here is one of the toughest decisions that I needed to make. And different things had to come in, different ethical virtues and principles. In the second year of me running that organization, I get differences with my co-founder that were really personal. And then the friction was too much that if I did not have anything to look at, I was going to throw in my towel. Mm-hmm. Like I really was going to throw it in. The difference was, the friction was so intense that as an administrator, I almost wrote a resignation letter that, you know what, run this your way. Like, I can't do this. But looking at the principles of ethical leadership, some of which are service delivery, and then community development, and looking at other things, I sat and looked at the 200 young professionals that I had made connections with, that we had trained. I looked at the book clubs that we had around Kampala and how each of the leaders knew that if I can't access this, I have to find Joanna. And I sat down and made a tough decision. I actually remember going to church and telling God, help me forgive this person for the sake of the other people that I am leading. Because you have to look at the bigger vision, the bigger picture of the organization. I said, I am going to run this organization with or without him.
Yeah. So you've given us that, and I want to use exactly that to go to Annette, and Joanna's talked about being able to continue doing what they were supposed to do, what they committed to, with or without the support of the other person that they had initially started the organization with. And that is what was guiding her at that point. But now, in your opinion, what role does transparency play in this whole process? Yeah, you are, when you're leading at the front, there's sometimes when there is the temptation to hold certain things back and not be as transparent with the people you're leading as much as you want. And in some cases, you guys have always had stories where somebody says, I kept it from you for your own sake. Yeah? So, when does it become, is transparency, what role does that transparency play in this whole picture of ethical leadership?
Thank you so much, Amos. Actually, taking you back in introductions, I was telling my neighbor, Gerard, that I think I forgot to mention something very important. Yes, I am Yali Uganda, the Western Cluster Chairperson. Why I forgot it, the position I took one month and a half ago, so it was obvious that I would really forgot on my introduction, but it's really very important. So getting back to Amos's question, transparency, I think it is something as leaders that sometimes we fail to exercise. Even when we go out there and preach transparency, you have to be transparent. And most of you, you must have seen organizations with banners, among their values, they have transparency, they have integrity, they have what else? Accountability. Those things move together. But it's something mostly the leaders actually often find challenging to exercise and practice in their organizations and societies. What happens if you do that? How does it turn around? I know you young people, young leaders, there are those organizations, those institutions and companies you really admire to be affiliated to be part of them. And this is something, transparency, that is a pillar to those organizations that make them to stand, to be where they are, having the team, having the organized team that is more effective. So one of the roles that transparency actually, as I go down to explain all this, is that it builds trust among the team, among the audiences, among the people you lead, and even yourself. Because when you are transparent enough, people will trust you. You will feel like you have the trustworthy team, and in anything that goes wrong or goes back forth, they'll be able to know that he is our leader. This is how it does, and this is how it has to be. Then they are more open. And also, it creates the supportive environment to the community, to the society, to the team you lead. This open environment, it leads them to be more open, to bring out, to create the open communication among the teams you lead with, or among the people, or the people you work with. And what does this mean? When there is open communication, you will get to know people's more talents. You will get to get best of themselves, of the team. Because giving an example, the small organization I lead, yes, I'm the co-founder, and even before becoming the co-founder and lead the team, the small team I lead. Previously, I had a very big title, what people prefer to be called executive director. So I didn't like it because I realized that there is a way it brings that self-entitlement that it is me. That's my opinion. I know the other people want to be called CEOs, executive directors. To me, it was limiting individuals and the teams to be best of themselves by the virtue of carrying that entitlement. And then another thing is when when you exercise, when you promote and practice transparency, one of the things is what it brings is that you are able to know your team very much better, who they are, the abilities they have, how you can support them, how you can grow them, and also it gives them the chance and the opportunity to always come to you to learn from you, ensuring that whatever you work on, the project you work on, it flourishes. There is no that kind of fear because you are open, you are transparent. It's like kind of flexibility to them. But if you have those hide and seek things and you know, in Uganda, there is when you go to offices and you need support, you need help, there are those officers on charge say, speak the language you understand, you know. So what are you saying? There is something behind they want to pass, but they are not being open to you. So if you are that kind of a leader in this world we are in, and maybe you aspire to be a leader, transparency is something that you would really bring to your forefront. It should be in your core values, not just by saying it or listing it on your values, but also at the same time to practice it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Annette. One of the things that comes to mind when we talk about transparency in organization and how it can transform organizations is, for example, in my organization, we know how much money has come in, by everyone knows, and then we are in the know of this is how we are going to spend it. They send a budget, everyone is in that meeting, everyone has seen where the money is going, and when it is dispersed, everyone knows, yeah? So there are times that people submit even budgets and we are looking at them together and other people are already the one critiquing. So I don't have to critique them to say, guys, they are already critiquing themselves because they know what is left. If this guy takes out this much, how much will be left for us to go and do the other activities? So they're already cutting themselves. So that is one. But the other one I like is sharing from my honest experiences with the people in situations that they are in. You know, as leaders, there is this, when people are following you, they hold you in a place of very high esteem and they think that maybe you never falter. And many times we hold our leaders to a pedestal where we think that they are supposed to give us 100 out of 100 or 120 every time. But they can't meet that 100. They are human. So the more they are transparent enough to share where they've come from, then there is that willingness for people to know that they can grow from the mistakes they've made. It is not that you're being led to know that, hey, I made mistakes in my past. It's not that they're saying, go out there and make mistakes, but they're giving you a space to know that you can grow from the past, from the experiences you've had and grow. And I would like to, as we talk about organization and I'm sharing about mine, I'd like to go to Gerald and ask, how can organizations promote a culture of ethical leadership from top level management down to the frontline workers? Because Maureen asked a question about, when we talked about expectations, she was talking about how to manage a team. And so how do you bring in ethical leadership from top management all the way down to the frontline employees? So that when you submit a budget for some activity, you haven't inflated those prices so that at the end there, when you go, or even if you haven't inflated, somebody has, you're in a job, they've given you a project to go and do, they gave you 30 million, you got there, you only spent 20, you're able to be ethical enough to take back the 10 and say, guys, I spent less. And then you don't just pass by the bond and buy a new car.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Emerson. others for you really had to put it clearly about ethical leadership. And to the young people in the house, this is very evident that you're going to grow, you're going to lead, whether you're going to lead yourselves, or maybe children, or you're going to be mothers, husbands. So when we talk about organizations, it should not look so complex in this context. But the very first thing is to understand that you'll not do it alone. And if you choose to do it alone, trust me, someday you will fail. And so, you must be so democratic as you can be. Let's face it. Possibly, if you have any one of you from the guild house, you possibly sit at the council and deals are negotiated from that side. And it may be up to you. If maybe you're managing the association like the Joannas used to do, you may find even you have the mandate to take certain sort of decisions. In this case, the others who have been executive directors. But the whole idea is that you are not the organization. And so, you must ensure that you save yourself and the future of the organization by being so much democratic as you can. Because at any time, anyone would ask anyone from your team about certain information. And so what will they say? Are we together? And so imagine a system that you're part of and someone interacts and say, those are issues of the managing director. We don't know about them. So you would need to be so democratic to involve, to engage, and include everyone as much as possible. As you take on the leadership in all spheres of this world, it's very important that whether it's a department, whether it's, even if you want to first sit, agree, this is what we have, this is what we need, what do we do? And let people suggest, okay? And in that way, you are going to avoid those red scaffolds. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerald. Now, I want to take a twist and take the conversation across to this side and put to you, what are some of the ethical dilemmas that you have faced? Be open, no judgment here. What happens in must hall stays here. Yes.
I think I am comfortable seated or here. Maureen Nyakato is my name. I would like to appreciate the panel for the highlights and some of the experiences we're cutting across. I personally, I think I shared a half story with Joanna. I almost didn't see the birthday of two organizations in a space of maybe 2 years. And it has affected me so much. Up to now, when I go in workshops like these ones, my first reflection is that. So when immediately she had to share her personal experience with the friction he had with the co-founder, I immediately reflected. I think maybe what would come as a major issue would be how team building is, divided among the members, and how strong can it be? Maybe it can come from that.
Okay. Thank you. And then somebody else, what ethical dilemma have you been in? And just share. Have you had any ethical dilemmas? So what you're saying is that you've had a smooth sail. You've never had, maybe to put it much easier, temptation is how I would put it. Leadership temptation. Yes? Okay. Gloria.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Yeah, mine is just like a story. So one time, should I say a marketeer for some group, and they are selling some. So I get one client, I head teacher of a school. I talk to her, she's like, actually we need this. And she sends me to a dose. So when I reach the dose says, now for your program, does not require monthly subscription. If it does not require monthly subscription, how will I get money from the school? The program we've been having, we get 800,000 every month. So at least I'm sure I'll get some of it, at least because we had to pay 400. I tell the head teacher 800, so I'm sure every month 400K goes to my pocket. Yours does not require subscription. Now remember, my boss wants the deal closed. So this month, the boss says, make sure in your contract you add there that at least you require 300,000 monthly subscription, so that I know every month I'm getting 300,000 from this school to my pocket. Now, it's up to me, because I want that money going to my business, because my boss has sent me to do marketing, so he wants clients. But then on top of that, if I agree with the dose, it means that I will have cheated the head teacher, because 300,000 will be moving out from the school to someone's pocket and not coming to me. So I'm there. My boss wants me to sell his products. The boss is saying, I will accept on this condition one of these people. And they're like, for me, I don't pay. For how come, like something like that. So it's one time I realized that even the easiest thing to do can actually put you in a dilemma.
That's a very lovely example. Many of us have found ourselves in such situations where you need it, but for you to go forward, there is challenges. So how many of you have started a business that is registered and all? You might know that for you to go through those registrations, sometimes people are going to tell you, for me to complete this process for you, like Annette was saying, they'll say, what language are you speaking? Yeah? Puts you in that situation. Now, my profession is I'll go into offices where the case is clear cut. There is no issue. All the taxman needs to do is a few things, and the thing goes on. And the taxman says, what are you willing to offer? My table is full. I have so many other clients to look at. But at the same time, I also have a client who is waiting. Also, my family is waiting, because if I don't finish, I don't get paid. They don't eat, but for me to finish, I have to do something that is unethical for them to move forward. So we find ourselves in situations like that. And so now I'm going to come back to the panel and put a few last questions to you. So what steps can the leaders take to build trust within what can we do? Because we come to these workshops, we talk, we do what can we do as Ugandans to build a stronger ethical backbone? I would like to hear something from each of you. And then I will also let the young people in the audience, 1 or 3 people, tell us what they also think.
Yes, thank you so much, Amos. I think you're touching, or we are discussing, a very important issue. For example, from where I sit and the things I do, I think it is ethics or ethical leadership that actually build our organizations. For example, you go and serve people, you offer quality work, people appreciate the work you do, but whenever they are recommending you, they don't recommend you because you offer good services. Sometimes I've seen, you will hear people say, those guys, you pay them, they will work. You do this, their integrity is high. They do this, they don't abuse, like they normally was not, they will not say, they offer good services. Or they will not actually talk about what you offer, how good it is and everything. They would want to talk about these things we are talking about. And I think you guys are lucky to have actually heard it from us. Because if you want to build an organization, if you want to do whatever you want to do, the number one thing you have to think about is ethics. If you can't offer ethical leadership, then you're not in business, or you're not in leadership, or you're not going to do anything and succeed. Because like I've just said, people will not remember the good services you offer, but perhaps they will remember the experience they had with you. They will remember how well you treated them. They will also remember how well you cheated them. So they will not really remember how good the service was. So pay attention to this. And the most important, Amos, how we are going to build ethical principles. You are an individual against so many people. As a leader, you are the pillar. Everyone is looking up to you. In fact, you are carried as a leader, and you must accept to be carried. So what you do, surround yourself with people who are willing to have the same values like you. Short of that, then you're not going to talk about ethical leadership, because you're going to build ethics in your organization, but the people will put you down, the people you work with. So the best strategy, the best way to succeed, surround yourself with people who actually have almost same values like you have. It is difficult anyway, because you're not going to manufacture them. You're not God to create yourself the people you want. It's very difficult, but try as much as you can. You might forego skills. You might forego experience at some point when you're attracting those people, but stick to ethics, stick to values, and make sure whoever is working with you, the people you're interacting with, your friends and everyone around you is actually having the same principles, the same values, the same ethical considerations or structures like you. So pay attention to that. Okay? Then the other important, maybe the last one from me, maybe open communication. Brand yourself. Let people know that this is what you stand for. Let the clients, let the staff members, let all the stakeholders, including partners, know that this guy does things like this. Whether you are right or wrong, let them know. By doing that, there is one dilemma you're going to encounter: truth versus reality, individual versus group. When we get to know that, Riven works like this. With Riven, you can't bring this. This guy is very difficult. If you want corners, don't go through him. In other words, you'll find yourself alone at all times. But it is okay. That is what you have chosen. And then with time, people will get to know you. And if it is business, a good business will come. Not a quick business, but maybe a good business that can last longer will come. Of course, you're going to miss some small deals. You're going to miss some, of course. that is it, you're going to miss a few things. But then a serious one will come and will stay longer and you will succeed. So be aware of such, dynamics or dilemmas when you want to believe in certain principles. But it is okay. You will last longer. You will build a brand and a personal brand. Do you know what it means when they get to know that actually with Joanne, this is how she behaves. With Joanne, this is how she does things. Then probably you start getting right people. The wrong ones might go. Yes, because the wrong ones are those who might want certain things, but the right ones will come and will stay with you. And yeah, you will achieve whatever you want to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ronald. And I like the part that he has mentioned, because usually when people, what they get the first time is how they take you. So if somebody asks you for a bribe and you give it, they will constantly ask you for a bribe. Yeah? You know why our traffic officers stop the taxis? Is because they know the taxis will always give them money. But they will stop these other cars knowing that that one is going to get a ticket. But the taxis will always give them money. So the way you present yourself the first time defines what the person expects for the long term. Yes, Joanna.
All right,
In
thank you.
a minute or two.
Yes. For me, the things that we have to do to be ethical, first of all, when we look at even just values, then virtue, then the vision. The vision is to guide you to always remember why you started and where you're going. So you can't afford to forget that, because it is one thing that will, every time you look at where you want to go, what the future holds for what you're doing, then you should be able to sit yourself down and say, this is what I want. Because going back to that organization, when I made a decision to say, you know what, I am not going to let this conflict between two people hinder the bigger vision, I actually continued. I put the person aside. I didn't chase them because they were the major founders. So I said, I am looking at the bigger vision and not you as an individual, because people buy into the vision. With one of the irrefutable principles of leadership talks about, when the leader does not deliver, people will get the vision and fly with it. And that's exactly what I did, because at least I had all my notes from the leadership training at the regional center. So, and when COVID hit and this person had to relocate to another place, I ran this organization for 2 years without his input. And for me, that was a seed as well. That when I started my organization, I can tell you that for all the times I have done activities at Uplift Slum Africa, meanwhile, all this was voluntary. All this was voluntary, I was not paid. So when I started my organization, Uplift Slum Africa, I can assure you that every time I carry out activities, I don't beg people to be there. Annette here has traveled several times from Masindi to come and do projects and train with me in Kampala, and she will transport herself, accommodate herself, and deliver training and go back to Masindi. When I call Amos and I'm like, I am working on this project, can you help me work on this budget? He will put off a day, we will sit at a cafe and we will work on everything, starting from the questions to the budget with no pay. If anything, he will even pay for the coffee that we'll have taken. So those are, yeah, he's a good person and a good friend. So those are things that you put out there, not because you're going to earn from them. Like Ronald said, the good virtues and the principles of ethics that you put out there in your work are most likely not going to pay off in cash as you expect, but they will build a brand for you. I can assure you that every time I tell young people that Make mistakes as a young person, but make sure the mistakes you make are not going to give you a brand that you cannot put off yourself even in 10 years to come. Just don't do that mistake that will taint a bad brand on you. I want young people, when you stand on the podium, be the one that they will say, she or he has built her brand from scratch. And people can put their hands for you to say, I am sure this person cannot do this. This person cannot do this. So that is how you actually know that you have values. Every time a brand is that people know about you in your absentia. When you're not around, what can people say about your brand? And that, I said, if we are going to understand leadership, let's not look at the big principles that are written on internet and all. Look at the small things you do in your small works and the decisions that you make as an individual. And you will have yourself to judge either you're ethical or unethical. If you're influencing positively or negatively, because you have to influence yourself first.
Thank you, Joanna. She reminds me of the saying that you do what you expect, what people expect, what you do in the light, you should also do when people are not watching you. You should be able to do it whether people are watching you or they are not watching you. And as she talked about a brand that people can defend, a brand, something came to mind. There is a time, how many of you know Cafe Java's or have heard of it? Yes, I see some hands. And I remember on social media, there is a time somebody was trying to say something bad about them. The person had to apologize because people know the brand for its integrity, its transparency, and so many things. They went at them until the person came and said the truth, that the milkshake they said had a rat actually didn't have a rat, but the person had lied to taint the name of somebody, of the business. But people knew what Java stands for and what it means, so they were able to protect it. So, Annette, tell us in a minute or two for you what you think.
Yes, thank you. Actually, complimenting on what Joanna said, it begins with you. If yourself you are not ethical, you don't have values that you believe in, and you are not looking at yourself, how people look at you, you won't be able to promote the ethical leadership or transparency in your organization. And another way is if you are leading a team, you are leading an organization in a company, one way to ensure that you promote or you ensure that these things are implemented is involve people on your team to contribute in building and developing the ethics and the policies. Themselves, once you do that, themselves, they'll be they'll be accountable. They will take the responsibility in ensuring that they are upright, they are behaving in a moral way and in a respective way. Because if for example, Gerard or Joanna says, we want things to be done like this, these are the things we believe in, she will feel, or he or she will feel, how will people look at me? It is me who brought this idea or who brought this policy. So it will keep people in check because I brought something, I have to ensure that I work in it. And then the last thing is always have the constructive feedback. Have one-on-one, have group discussions, there are those difficult discussions, because I may work with Gerard, but I see he's going astray, he's not in check. I have to sit him down. That is something very difficult I have to have with him. So it is if we have the constructive feedbacks, it will help us to understand our teams, our members, how they want it. Empower them to lead, and let them give you feedback how they want to be led. As simple as that. And then it will help you to enable you to work in this, as a successful team, as a one-winning team for the organization. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Annette. And Gerald, lastly.
Guys, there is an art of rinse, repeat. Rinse, then repeat. Rinse, and then repeat. Because you're a leader of an organization, you will inevitably meet these issues. Maybe you or someone else from that team will screw it up. And so, the most worst bit of it is failing to learn from it, even if it's a personal level. Because Ronald talked about the first contact. You're likely to mess it up the first time. Talked about being so much democratic, and I talked about it previously. So you maybe, by the way, you'll be trusted. Your husbands are going to trust you, your wives. You screw it up someday. But the point is, rinse, repeat. Know that you have made a mistake and acknowledge that you have done it. Move on to make things better, and please transform for good. It's very important. So they gave you life hacks on before you mess up. I felt that I can tell you after you mess up. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerald. And now I'm going to give one audience person. In addition to everything these people have said, what is that thing that you're saying that has helped you stay ethical, that you feel as Ugandans we need to practice more? Yes, I saw that hand coming.
Thank you very much, Amos. I'm called Abdul Wahab Atweta. I'm the Executive Director, Hope for Peaceful Families Foundation Uganda. It's a registered NGO, 4 years old, in Mbarara. Again, I'm the chairperson board, Mbarara City North Produce Dealers Circle, entirely in produce business. I'm a produce dealer. I'm still a youth, 33 years. So I'm happy to be with youth once again. I completed university years back. It has been a challenge, and it is a syndrome within Uganda. When you go to the side of organizations, we have founders syndrome that is killing the operations, the growth of institutions, of organizations. Mostly we young people, once we are there, we feel we are more big than the subordinates that we are with. And that one limits us from getting new ideas and combined efforts for the growth of the institution. So that founder syndrome is not in the organization only, even in the business that we are doing. My brother is saying once it's a couple and you have a business as a couple, a man is a man, is the overall. And now a woman is denied a chance to take a lead. Yesterday I was in a workshop where women are more involved under GROW, the government program, and women were crying that our businesses are not prospering because of the husbands. That whenever you bring now the husband wants to take over, however much is not funding the project. So it is also in that way. But on another side, I look at the compliance measured by youth. We have a challenge, as you've talked about, the traffic people, and it is every sector in Uganda with that challenge. I'm a youth, I know to get academic transcript, maybe to be certified, I need A, B, C. But me, I want to jump B, I go to encourage my fellow youth to be compliant on every step. Then you leave everything for them to judge. It has been my critical procedures that I do my level best. I clear my part and I leave the administrators to do their part. And if you don't do your part, then I will ask you why with the evidence. What I value most is set principles, self-values. I believe that one person can change the world. We saw what Nelson Mandela did. We are jubilating now. We are over 30 here. We can change this. So, if they feel that at Twitter, if you are corrupt, you don't deal with him. We have a challenge with produce dealers. When there is contaminated, because they want to make more sales, but they don't look at quality control. But when it comes to me, I say no. If it is that, it's a plan by God. We need the best. And that one has mainstreamed my business to different customers through referrals. That if you want something good, look at that one. For some projects, when they come, maybe here in Barara, as they are looking at the produce dealers, they refer to Atweta. That Atweta must come and attend this workshop because we know you are a voice of others. Let's all be the voices of others, majorly the youth. I beg to submit, and I wish to add on when time comes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abdul. Those were very insightful things. And to traffic officers, whenever I was caught, I used to pay bribes. I changed over time. But one of the things that tipped me over, maybe this is not a good story to tell, but one of the things that tipped me over, I was stopped after running a red light. And when I looked when the guy sat in my car, when I looked to give them kintu kidogo, I thought I was pulling out 5,000. I pulled out 50. And that was all that I was left with. So, in the long run, and after some transformation, after real thinking and growing, I was much younger then. I was in my 20s. Now I am no longer a youth. I am itching closer to the 4th floor. But I started to realize that a lot of the things that we do really plant a seed into society, and that seed continues to grow over time. And so I decided to start unplanting the seeds that I had planted in my past so that they don't. So if I am caught in a traffic infringement, I will submit myself, I will accept, and they will write me a ticket, and I will go through the right channels. And over time, I have realized that when I submit myself, the traffic officer is lenient and says, okay, you're forgiven. And then I behave better, because that ticket of 100,000 is not cheap. But the more you uproot those roots you've planted, we can make the society a better place. So please join me in thanking our panel this morning. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for sharing. We are going to go for a quick break. Because we started late, I would like us to go for a quick break. I don't know where my gentlemen are. I think they've stepped out. But somebody is going to come, lift you up. You are going to... Is that place open? I don't think that door is open, so you're going to go out. You're going to go straight. You're going to take the stairs up. How many are from here? Because I'm directing and I'm not from here. So clearly, you know the next floor where... It's actually first floor. So the one above us. Yes. So Max is going to take you where the breakfast is, so you follow him. Yeah? but I don't think the door is open. Can you check? So you'll just follow him, you'll go up, you'll grab a quick bite for, let's make it as fast as we can. 15 minutes good? 20, 15? 15. Okay, let's do 15 minutes, we come back, and then we continue. Yeah? But I think that door is closed. So let's use the stairs. We are going to, you'll see it up there. And because you have this, you'll just be directed to the direct place. So thank you so much, and see you back in 15 minutes. So it is 11:52, so we come back by 12:10, and we continue. Yeah. The people who know, so I didn't see the Anne-Marie. You can lead the people. Yes, they can follow you, the other people. Yes.
make you happy again. I beg your pardon if I left to be free. And I apologize, you see I'm down again, give me another chance. You're my love, you're my heart, everything that I am. Girl, I didn't realize how much I love you. I wanna know, baby, I wanna know. Tell me more. I wanna know, baby, I wanna know if you still love me. Tell me what to do to make it stop. Tell me more. I wanna know, baby, I wanna know. Tell me more. I wanna know, baby, I wanna know. Tell me more. I wanna know, baby, I wanna know. Tell me more. I wanna know.
Hi, how are you? You're back? Are you feeling better? Huh? Because I know break took longer. It was supposed to happen at 10, but because we came late, I'm not apportioning blame. We are all going to take it. Yeah? We had to start at 10 when we were supposed to have the break. Or should the people who have come first had break at 10 and then we just continue? I know some people who feel that way. But anyway, welcome back. We are going to go into our next segment, and it is to talk about leadership of self. Yeah? But before we start, I want to just do a check-in, yeah, with all of you guys. Yeah? I'm going to start with my co-facilitators here today and do a check-in. And then we shall go next. So I'll start with the voices you haven't heard at all today. So I'll start here with Christine. 0 to 10. Where are you at?
8.
Why an 8?
What do I say? Yeah, I didn't expect this. I should have said 10, but anyways. No, I think I'm doing a good job. I just don't know where to start, but I think I'm doing a good job.
Okay. The 0 being that you're having a bad day, things are not going anywhere that you would like them to go, and 10 being that, oh, everything is just aligned. The stars are all in the right place and stuff are going well. So I'll go to Winnie. 0 to 10.
I'm at 9.
Why?
The 1, I'm giving it to time. because we started late. So I feel maybe if we had started earlier, this is something that needs more time. And I feel we are going to miss out on something. That's where the one is. We are going to miss out on some things we would have had if we had come earlier.
I've already heard from Douglas, Obadai. How are you feeling?
I'm fine.
0 to 10, where are you?
9.
He's at a 9. And I need a lady's voice. Maybe Janet here can tell me how she is. 0 to 10.
0 to 10, I'm at 3.
Did you watch the Liverpool game last night? Because that's the only number I remember from last night. 3-0. Why are you at a 3?
Okay, I'm at 3 because I came here with a lot of expectations, and I've had a lot of things that so far they have been, should I say? Okay, they have been good. Okay, it's kind of the information I look for, and I feel like where we are going, we are still, I'm still so expectant for a lot. So out of that 10, I feel like I've just received 3, and I'm still so expecting a lot.
So Janet is still expectant. So she doesn't want to give us the whole 10 yet because she's still getting some more. I see some people have been smiling, but I've been, where did the tag go? Charity. So Charity, 0 to 10.
I have like 5 also. Why 50-50? 50-50 because of time management. Then I'm also eager to learn more. I'm also expectant.
Charity was one of the first people to come. So when she says time management, I understand. You forgive us. Forgive us. So, yes, our projection is there. So we're going to go into the next segment. Okay. As they connect that machine, if you were to pick an adjective, you know what an adjective is? English. Yeah? What? I ask in the mother tongue. That is an exam. Huh? What is an adjective? Do you know what an adjective is? Google is your friend. Yeah? Somebody has said something that describes a what? Ndoza. Nanga, I'm not sure, but I know it describes. Don't know if it describes a noun, but I know it describes. So, if you were describing yourself, what adjective would you add to your first name that starts with the same letter as your first name? So, my name is Amos. So the letter I need to use is A. The adjective that I would use that describes me, still using A for Amos, is amplified Amos. Yes, just because I'm using a mic. I am very amplified. I can give a campaign speech without a microphone. So, your name starts with Innocent. What adjective would describe you? Innocent.
I think they have cheated the exam, but afterwards, the first one is innocent, of course, and the second one is intelligent.
Intelligent, innocent. Ha! Eh? English is Englishing. I am coming. Miriam. Tell us. M. I can even allow you to tag team. You can answer both of you. When you see your friend Miriam, what M describes her? Don't say malicious. There is a strong word that doctor was using. I was going to use it when I was talking about what he talked about, but it was so heavy. It was very heavy on my tongue. I could not say that one. No, he didn't say magnificent. He said Yes, it's a very heavy word. Think about an adjective. At lunchtime, I want you to share adjectives with each other that describe you. Or I want you to give the person you've been seated next to an adjective that you think describes them. So, now, I would like to invite Gerald, who is going to, in the next 10 to so minutes, give us a presentation on leadership of self. And then after that, we shall have some discussions as a group. How about that? Okay? Join me in welcoming Gerald.
So once again, good afternoon. Are we good? Do we have at least some breakfast? Some good one, eh? Can we now use the amplified voices to just like a very vibrant audience? Can we check our voices a bit? Okay. Yeah, so I'm Gerald Ahimbisiwe, and I previously discussed with you that I lead a team at the Ability Youth Initiative Uganda, and what we basically do is to ensure that young people are skilled and productive. And how do we do that? Our programming focuses on basically education that's formal and non-formal. But our ideal thing that we're trying to do is to work with marginalized communities to enhance learning outcomes of children in Uganda. And so somehow, I like to say I'm a teacher, okay? And so because I'm a teacher, I don't sit in one space, and you'll allow me to come to you, ask you, and at certain level, because I feel like this should be a discussion that becomes for us. So basically, what you're going to look at, we shall somehow talk about the three components that you are seeing on the screen, and they really form best of the character that makes you a personal that makes your leadership. And in the morning, I found our and talking about leadership, talking about management, talking about setting values and principles. And definitely, by show of hands, I like to, by show of hands, how many clearly understood that you were going to be in the university you went to, maybe by show of hands, that you really were very sure when you were finishing high school that you are going to be in the university you went to or an institution you went to? No one? At least Anna was very sure. The rest, we were not sure, including me. Okay, so as we get into this, we are going to skip this activity and then come here, where you and I are going to really come back and analyze ourselves. So I saw all of you almost have notebooks. How many are seated with your close friends that you've interacted, not just here, but you've been interacting? By show of hands. Okay. So I just have a request to make. Just exchange that notebook and exchange your notebook, give them the notebook, allow them to do this for you. So they're going to write a good, I don't want to use the bad thing, of course, a good thing they know about you. At least, I'm assuming that you also have interacted, so you must have dropped some networking here. So please exchange as well. But you have met, isn't it? Yeah, so that's how we start. When I met with Ronald for the first time, we are offline. Now we are here today together and we've met and worked on so many things, so many times. Please give them one thing and then let them see. Yeah, just the good thing that you think they are. Yes, just one. You add up later. Did someone give you something astonishing that? Did someone give you something different from what you knew? Let me just hear. At least one lady and gentleman. What they said you are. Can I sample? Anyone wants to tell me what they say they are? Yes? How did he know you? Okay. Yes. You're so sure. But are you? You're more than. Okay. At least a lady in the house? Yes. Wow. So I thought they were going to throw something like, you're sexy. Wow, excellent. Yeah, so as we begin to lead ourselves, we would need actually to understand who we are? And what is the perception of people about who we are? When I started to work on the mentorship program, the very first cohort was online. And so I mentored a large number of young people. And what they told me that, Gerald, you're so strict. So when they got a chance to come in Kampala, they told me, Guy, you're so crazy. They said I was not the person they thought I am. And so, number one, I would like to emphasize that there is a person you know you are. All together. Hello? There is a person that you know that you are. And you may be that person, or sometimes you might be wrong about yourself. Of course, I've told people to give you the good of you. If I asked them to give you the bad of you, you are going to be shocked. And so as you move towards leading yourself, it's very important that first of all, you ask about who you are. What do you know about yourself? What is that good thing that you know about you? What's the bad thing that you know about you? How many people know bad things about themselves? Yes, yes. Aha, excellent. So I thought you guys are too innocent. Okay. And so, secondly, you would need to understand the public perception of you. Are we together? So how many of you have ever had an opportunity to share with your fellows openly after a very crazy fun at the beach, at Lake, is it Lake View? Wherever you would go to. And then you ask them to at least give you some feedback about what you've done and how you've done it. Have we done that before? I mean, getting this feedback from what people think you really are. Because you see, in the morning we are discussing about trust. And some of us could be here. When you get a problem and you call, people say that they don't have money. And by the way, they're not even stingy. But maybe they have experienced some hard time with you. Okay? And they have never told you. Are we together? So the people perception of you, who people say you are, whether you will ask them, whether you correct this feedback from elsewhere, but it is very important that you understand who you are. And then you exactly make the so who you are by what people have told you, by what you have heard, and by what you know about yourself. All together. And then you'll also need to ask yourself, what really can satisfy me? What can I do and I find doing happily without anyone pushing me? You're going to go to work. It pays. It might be interesting at some level, but it will not be interesting always. But what makes it fulfilling for you? And I've always asked myself one question. What if the work I do was not paid for? Would I still do it? What if the work was not paid for? Would I still do it? How many of you would still do your work? assuming your lectures are not compulsory and they do not add up to your CGPA. Two. All right, pretty. And so you as well analyze yourself and you ask yourself, what are the people that I'm found to be with? Okay? But also ask yourself, what am I doing with most of my time? And these are just simple things that look very simple, but if you do not break them into small contexts, you would live a day to another day to another day without actually being the person that you want to be. And then you could ask yourself, what actually do I spend on most of my resources? Because those are the things that forms part of your character and of who you are, isn't it? And then what are your habits and what do you do always? And one of the best way, I like to say that as you analyze yourself, because I know most of us want to grow, get into money, mostly that is the objective. I've interacted with young people at their career, most of them at the start, they want to be medical doctors. Reason, I think it's a highly paying job. But the contentment question often goes unanswered. And so, even if you want to go to make money, whether from heaven, whether from earth, wherever, okay, you are going to find it with ease within the things you're capable of doing. And that's where you can spend your time without feeling stressed. You can spend your money without feeling stressed. You can do, you can flow even without anyone putting you on pressure. So, the next is about these questions, which you always call the 5 W's and the 1 H, that goes on to question you, ask you a question like, but who I am and who do I want to be? A question like, when do I want to be? Hello? And then, where will I be? Okay? Why do you want to be that? That's the motivation of why should you wake up in the morning and do the thing that got you to do what you are doing. I will make a sample. Feel free, because this is not police, you will not be arrested. At random, Janet, feel free. Are you okay? Janet, what do you want to be and why do you want to be that? And why do you want to be that?
Just one thing. Yes. Okay. So, there is this one thing I want to be. It's not the career I'm pursuing, but it's something that I want to be. So I want to be I like making stuff, like crafts, things to do with art, and I like it. I don't know if I should say I want to be an artist. I don't know what it is called, but I want to do that because I don't know. It makes me feel good. It is something I realize it is naturally who I am without going to school for it. Like it is just part of me. And I want to grow it because it's part of me. Yeah.
Yeah, so she thinks she can live to her full potential by doing what is within, right? That is artistry. Am I right? I now will stamp a gentleman. Please help me, God. John, would you like to take on the question?
Who do I want to be? I want to be sexual reproductive health and rights. Advocate for sexual reproductive healthy and rights.
So he wants to be an advocate. So why am I doing this is that whatever you have chosen to be, where you think you're going to be and your why, it is, sometimes it might not be so much easy. And well, I think you may live life by default and make it, but I don't believe so much in default things. At some level, you will take charge of your life. Are we together? And so after understanding that, you then ask yourself on how can I get there? Okay, and this will form what we saw before of your investment of your time, the habits and the traits you need to develop, the investment of your money, and equivalent the social relevance of who do you interact with and when and on what matters. Are we together? So as I interact with young people in career, I've had, one of the programs we do is we offer practicums to young people. And when we ask them, what do you want to be? Or why are you applying here? What are you capable of doing? This is the very funny answer I always get. I think I can do anything. And I ask them, can you mop the toilet? You basically cannot do anything. You do things that you choose to do, and making choice is very important part of leading yourself. And so as you navigate on the previous 6 life questions, it's very that you make a point to choose exactly the person you want to be. Believe in faith, but don't believe too much in faith, because it will take you where you really did not think. And so if we put it all together, we'd come up with a personal mission or vision statement for yourself. I made a decision because I grew up in a home where getting education was very challenging. So I made a decision that I'll spend the rest of my time working and matching opportunities for young people to learn. And I also said, because most of our young people drop out of school, alcohol, prostitution, and all that spoiled kind of young motherhood, I made a decision that we will put forward their livelihoods at the forefront. And so it is very simple, like I can state it, that we want to ensure young people are productive. So I just will sample a few of us, asking you, what is this? What is the vision for your life? You as an individual, what drives you to a person you are? Amos, these people didn't have tags. What did you do? But please, would you volunteer?
My name is Prince, and I'm a third-year petroleum engineering student here. My personal vision statement, right? My vision in life is to, I will speak what I've already done before, because that's my vision. Like I'm going into the climax of it. Because of my background, I have been advocating for refugee rights. And my vision, my life vision is to make sure that those refugee communities are not delicate homesteads for people like us, but instead to be like any other place that is suitable for human settlement, comfortably. Thank you.
Would you just use just a few words
Like, okay. My personal vision statement is to make refugee communities comfortable for everyone to live in.
So people are finding them uncomfortable, possibly? So yeah, so I want to quote one of the commencement speakers who said that you're going to realize problems, people's weaknesses, and things that will make you cry. Okay? And he said, if that happens, face that direction. Are we together? So what do you stand for? What is your goal for this life that you're living? And what do you really like to achieve? Are you much more specific in the areas that you want to contribute? Because you're growing in career, and then it would not be a good thing maybe for you to, you're really so not so definite about what you actually are looking for. And if you don't make that much more clearer, how will you read yourself and then the people that will come after you, definitely? So, as I think maybe from here, some of us are going to go back, makes a little bit of a reflection on these key aspects. At least have a personal vision statement. Set at least your goals at different times and work hard to achieve them. Have your personal values. Life is not about sleeping, waking up, attend lectures, call mommy. Okay? Like you had, at some time, you'll make hard decisions. And your inability to do that, people will decide on your behalf. And trust me, the decisions is not all the best, but it stems from setting it up to yourself. And so I'm almost done. The very last, second last is about how do you evaluate yourself? You have already maybe identified your goals, what you're looking for to achieve. In fact, this should be very much clear in putting it all together if you say that you want to be an advocate, you want to ensure that all refugees are in spaces where they are comfortable, okay? It's not all about saying it, and you're possibly going to work towards it. But it's not all that straight. I think if we asked these leaders, and some of you, your journeys have not been so straight, isn't it? Has it been? Has it been? But how are you able to at least reach a point and say, am I driving into the course? So one of the things, when I made a decision to be in education, I was young and I didn't know how really the world moves. So I offered my time to volunteer and to work at certain organizations so that I can get these valuable skills. And at certain levels, I had this kind of life, God-filled, whether children are learning or not, take pictures, report, pretend as if they are doing it and they are not doing it. And guess what? I had these rough interactions with my bosses, and I told them that this is not something I would do. And young as I was, I said, I'll find my exit from the organization. Maybe I'll find better luck elsewhere. But that came about asking myself a lot of bazillion questions of, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Does it really make sense? At the end of that day, is it all the money? And I assure you, all the monies I worked there, I can't tell what it did. But there is work that you will do, and you really feel like, yes. Whether it was paid or not, but it was at least fulfilling. So how will you know? The first one is, we talked about introspection, and that is looking back. One of the entrepreneurs said that you cannot connect dots moving forward, but backwards. So are you likely to go back and check in what good or where you're likely to mess it up from? And through your lifetime, by the way, you will always look back. If you were not this person who not look back, you will not learn. The second one, that was retrospection. The second one is introspection. This is the space between why you're doing certain things. It might be ahead. Why did you actually come here? I'm sure that it was not so compulsory, but you made it up here. So why did you have to come here? Why did I have to come to talk to you? Wouldn't I have talked to you if I made this? Wouldn't I talk to you without making a presentation? Why did I make a presentation? So for every action, you must ask yourself questions. And those questions are very important in testing you and giving you a proper analysis of whether you should do certain things or not. And so you might need to ask yourself on how will you know that you're moving towards the course of your life. Because as we start again and again, whether it is the social relevance we choose, whether it is the course of the career courses whether it's the kind of the organization, to choose either to go into the civic space, whether to be an entrepreneur, you're likely to make these life choices, but how will you know that you're moving towards something that you actually want to be, that you actually want to do, that you actually want to achieve? Are we together? And so it's also very important to journal, at least take a record of your life, good and bad experiences, and learn from them. And then there is this another kind of the trivial and the vital things, understanding the important and the unimportant, and identifying those essential and inessential things. I might as well call them things, I might as well call them activities, I might as well call them people. So you will inevitably do one of them that is non-essential, because you'll not wake up and be productive, but you should be able to, after your journaling, to understand the vital and essential and important, and maybe to predict, because your leadership is going to be a journey of predicting yourself level after one another, to see what is essential. Does this make the most important part of my time? Should I be in this hall at this moment? Or I should be elsewhere focusing on other things? And then you learn from it and you edit. And once you edit some parts of your life, you will rub completely, because you're going to realize that you want to make a different person from the one you are. And so you repeat the cycle each and every day. So, in the leadership that you're about to take or that you've already taken, it is going to start with you. Before people follow you, yourself will be a leader, and you first lead yourselves. And I like to appreciate that you're leading your lives goodly. Well, the fact that you're already here today. But that's not enough. Understanding exactly what you want in life and how to go about it could be a very important step, because where you are now, no one will. I mean, maybe you'll be out of here. I'm sure some of you are already independent, and no one has to ask you why you do certain things, isn't it? But as you go out, maybe to serve, to start organizations, maybe to work in organizations where you find appointment and moving further, people want to know what you've done and how you've done it. The Joannas will tell you what exactly took you to the Mandela Washington Fellowship. It was not living their life by default. It was an effort of learning from themselves, bettering themselves each day. And like J.K. Rowling mentioned, he said that the first step in life is the self-improvement. And you'll not improve yourself if you don't know what to improve. And what is the problem with us young people? Sometimes we even don't know these black spots in our lives. That you wake up, leave, you mess up. Even when people tell you, come on, Gerald, this is not a good thing, you emphasize, this is who I am. So my prayer is that you will find a true compass as you navigate. Seek to understand yourself, to understand others, and to make those hard decisions just like you had. It will not be so easy for you to decide maybe to say, I will read a book to improve my communication skills. Never an easy thing. You'll find yourself sleeping. If you're used to clubbing, it may not be so easy for you to say, maybe this is becoming too much. You might be addicted in one or the other. It will not be so easy. It will not become so definite. But if you will understand that that's your weakness and you work towards improving it, it's a plus. So I wish you all good lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gerald. We are finding our true north, our sense of direction for where we are headed as people. Before today, had you ever thought about leadership for self? Had you ever thought about how to lead yourself as an individual? Or you only thought about leading others? Whoever thought about leading themselves? I see some hands up. Let me first go there. Yes, so Charity. What is it that you were thinking about leading yourself? Charity has refused the microphone, so she says she's audible. She's amplified.
My name is Charity, and I tried my best not to be proud, so like I want to lead myself into doing something new every day, to try something new until then I make it.
Wow. First of all, she has said she tries to do something new every day. The thing is, for me then, how many new things? Like now, this is what month of the year? We're in April. 120 new things already. Wow. Something else that is new? Yes, Gloria?
Okay, me personally, the first time when I realized I need to lead myself was when I first came to campus. Like in high school, we were in a boarding school. There are teachers around. There are prefects, Simani class monitresses and all that. So now you come to campus, you don't have a teacher looking at you. You don't have prefects, Simani stop speaking vernacular, don't do what. So you realize you can miss lectures and the class monitor will not report you. So like, that was when I realized that unless I actually lead myself to do some things, no one is really bothered. You know, like the teacher, your parents is not going to call the class teacher to ask, is she studying? No. So I came to realize it then.
And so, thank you, because a round of applause for those two that have shared with us. And so, there are so many other things that we need to consider when leading ourselves. Yeah? There is your mental health, Yeah? How many of you take a break? Not an extended break. Yeah? Not the one where you don't wake up and you stay in bed and you don't want to do anything. Yeah? But like, how often do you take a break to just be? Yeah? Every day. Okay. How long do you take those breaks for? I'm not talking about lunch or break tea. Yeah? How often do you take a break? Yeah? I know these people here on this front list. If you ask them the last time they took a break, some of them they told the people at where they work that they are on break today, but they are not on break because they are doing stuff today right now. All these people. But you need to take a break every so often to rejuvenate and to put yourself in a new space. What are some of the things you love to do that make you get you in your zen zone? Like that space where you feel free, you feel relieved of all the anger that you had about that day. You feel, what are those things you love to do? Yes, Juma. Sleep. It can't be sleep. It has to be something else. Because you see, when you sleep, you've switched off the brain-ish. So when you wake up with that anger again. You're like, carry that guy. Eh? But what are those other things that you do that are non-sleep? Remember, you have 8 hours of sleep a day. So you will sleep at night. But what are those things that you do that... Are you deliberate about those things that you do? Yes. Huh?
Sometimes I share with my friends.
So he shares with people. He goes and sits down and talks to people. I like to run. I don't look like it, but I like to run. Yeah? I like to run. So I take a jog, and the jog is one healthy, but at the same time, it makes my mind clear. So when I am angry, when I have a lot on my mind, I take a jog. Run around in the Kampala hills, or I will run on a treadmill, and makes me free. The other thing that I love to do is cook. Yes, I love to cook. So I like trying out new recipes, things that I have never done, that I think I can mess up. I sit down and I try to cook those things. And then I find myself making a chicken fried rice, just like the Japanese do it. And it tastes nothing like the Japanese do it, but it tastes very nice for my stomach at least. So I like doing those things. The cooking relaxes me. I'm not a book person, yeah, so I will not say that I like reading. So what I'm trying to get at is that all of you have different things that relax you, that make you get into that Zen place. And you need to tap into those energies at least for at least an hour every day, where you just tap into that energy. Not just you love cooking, but now you're cooking because you have to, because they forced you to cook. That's different. Yeah? Not running because you have to run, it is a sports day. But you're doing it because it is something that you plug into every day for your... Yeah? The other thing that Gerard talked about that I really like is journaling. How many of you journal? How many of you keep a journal? Winnie and Christine say they journal. I'm going to ask Winnie to tell us why she journals and tell you exactly what a journal is.
Thank you. I think my inspiration for journaling comes way back from my childhood. I had a traumatic childhood with separate parents. So today I met Peter, he abused me. because I don't have anyone to tell. So as I grew up, I took it up as a habit that I write almost everything. I will write how my day was. Then I also had something I used to call letters to God. So in a way to pray, I write what I want God to know that I'm going through. So you'll find I have like 20 notebooks. So this one is specifically for daily things. This
But I think for me, journaling, it is something that I started later on in my life, in my 30s. And because I got a soul coach who talked to me about journaling, and it helped me do, and I do exactly what Winnie does. I have a book. I have one for my conversations with God. I have one for my business, for my work, professional life, and I have one for me as an individual, for growth, for what. Now, the one thing that I liked about, especially the one for prayer, is that every week, intentionally, as self-care for myself, I will send friends messages, a couple of friends, and ask them, how can I pray for you? And then they will let me know. Then I'll write it down. A month later, I will go back to them because I have it written down what they asked for. And I go back to them and I ask them, how is that going? So I'm intentional with my friends like that, but through journaling. A year later, I can go back to that journal when I'm checking through and I'm ticking, oh, this happened, this happened, this happened. And then it gives me that space for having gratitude on the bad, that we forget about the nice things that happen in our lives. So we need to celebrate the wins, however small they are. Yeah? So you can get 1 million rejections for applications for jobs. But that day, someone gives you some cash to help you pay your rent. So you received 10 no's, but that one kept a roof over your head. Yeah? So which one are you most grateful for? Yeah? The one that one, yeah? It rejuvenates you, it gives you a chance to go again the following day. So that's the other practice that I would like you guys to take, yeah, that you can use for growing each other. So, I am going to give you conversation papers. I want to look at that time and I see, okay, I will have my person check to see if our lunch is ready, but while they check on that so that you can go, I want you to go into groups, yeah? When you get off these chairs, what I liked is that they disappear. So that means you can stand around each other, yeah? So I'm going to make you count, yeah? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you go back to 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't go above 4. Then all the ones will come together and you will discuss these questions here together. Okay? So, you remember your number only. Don't remember your neighbor's number. What's your number? Okay. Hey, there are no people here. Good. So, what was the last number? 3. And Mario, 3. Then the facilitators will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Me, I have given them. So, all the ones come here next to Lorna. You're going to stand here, and some of you stand here and face each other. No sitting. You're creating room for the food. Yeah? So breakfast is now going to the toes, then food. Then 2 is going to be here. Yeah, here and here, 2. Then 3, what number are you? 2. Okay. 3's here. Then 4's here. Yeah? So get closer to each other. These are 2's. Get closer to each other. 4's here. Face each other. Stand and face each other. Don't sit. Wait, who are these? 3. Yeah. Okay. Okay. 3, you want 3? Facilitator. Yes. Joanna. Where is Gerard? Where is Gerard? Ah. So, is there a facilitator there? Yes, there is Winnie. Yes, first go there. Joanna.
Oh, you have?
Have more? Okay. So have your conversations and ignore us. And then you will pick one person who will share with the rest of us. Just key highlights.